G'day everyone, how are we going? Sorry I was running late. I was just trying to get some things working on my side of things, making sure my audio is working fine. Anyway, we've got another one of those fun just announcements and launches. This time it's from Team Green or Team Red, if you want to call it. I call it Team Green because traditionally I know way back in the long time they were green. Anyway, so Team Red Green has actually announced at the Computex the new desktop Ryzen 7000 series. Now, I was expecting something like that for the end of this year, and that is what we've kind of got at Computex, which was great. Now, I'm just going to bring this thing up just to have a look at what we're going to talk about. So, again, the Ryzen, this is for your desktop computer, so it's this is the good stuff here. This is what I'll kind of, so it is going to be run off Zen 4 architecture. So this is something going to be more than what we're going to get because the previous one was Zen 3 architecture. Now it's going to be running again, not again, sorry. This is running on the new 5 nanometer. So it's going to be, I'm expecting it to be probably cooler than the previous, but I think they might be running a little bit more power in there. So I was going to show you maybe a little bit of hint of that a little later on. And it's going to have a new platform, which is the AM5. Currently, we're using AM4. It's been a great socket. I actually like the AM4, but it's been probably about 4 or so years now they've run on that one there. But I think just like Intel with the 12th gen Old Lake, they've moved to the AM5 as well too. So it's something we kind of expect that Ryzen to move over to as well too. So that's kind of cool. We're just going to move on. It's again, we're going to increase a little bit more cache compared to things. Again, we're going to probably see more higher performance on single clock speed. I don't know about single core, but more higher clock speed as they demonstrated. I think one of the ones they demonstrated was up to even 5.5 gigahertz. This was running off Blender. I think it was. They were running off that Blender, and I was like, whoa. But at the moment, that's primarily pretty much. I don't know if we can take it again. So we don't even know if it's even overclocked or not for it. And we don't even know if that's running on all cores or it's just single core at 5.5. But that was pretty amazing. I don't even know how many cores there are at the moment. So we're getting a little taste of what they could have at the end of this year. So I'm thinking it's the end of this year. Again, we're going to get 5 nanometers. So that's kind of the previous one was 7 nanometers. So they're actually on their timeline. But what it's going to be fun to see is, again, you'll see actually 2 cores here at the top here on the 2 cores, which is the chiplets. And then we got a new AIO die, which is actually going to be hung. Now, what's going to be really cool? I don't know if it's going to be cool or not. I think it'll probably be cool later on. At the moment, we're looking at a much more high-end processor. So it has integrated graphics. This was kind of missing in AMD, the Ryzen. They didn't have an integrated graphics. Intel did have integrated graphics for the budget range, which is great. Again, that's probably what I see later on after it matures, the Zen 4, more that we'll see probably budget range. And this will when the integrated graphics will kick in. But I don't see a lot of that kicking straight at the start. G'day, Andy. How are you doing? But at the moment, I don't see it kicking in straight up because of the fact that I think they're releasing more of the high-end market than hitting the HPC market as well too. And of course, this will be DDR5, and it will be only DDR5, so it won't actually have compatibility with DDR4. It's just going to be DDR5. So see this again, it's going to be expensive at the start when it comes out, simply because DDR5 is expensive RAM at the moment. And hopefully, as next year's go by and the year after that, we'll get more because we're moving towards DDR5. So hopefully, the prices of DDR5 will come down. But so this is running off DDR5 only, unlike the Elder Lake, that's able to run DDR4 or DDR5, of course, more optimized for DDR5. Now, of course, it has PCIe 5 controllers, so we can now the PCIe controllers. I'm not sure if I can show this one up here, but here we go. We do have one. It has 24 lanes of PCIe 5. Now, in the Elder Lake, we have only got 16 lanes. of PCI 5. So this is another one of those interesting things that I can see a difference between Intel and AMD. So with the Intel, 16 is great, 24 now. If you know your graphics cards at the moment, they're still PCI 4, but they use 16 lanes would be the most best you can use is 16 lanes. And so if you're in Elder Lake, of course, I think when we moved graphics cards, because all the graphics cards haven't moved to PCI 5, but when they do move over PCI 5, I don't think I'm not expecting them to use more lanes than what they're currently at. But for maybe later on, this is probably something that allows a future proof. So 16 lanes, and then you can have a few more lanes for your storage, like the NVMe's or storage, whatever SSDs. I can actually have more than for storage for AMD. So just giving you a little bit of allowance, but at the moment we haven't seen any PCI 5, PCIe 5 storage yet, but that's what hopefully will coming soon, and that's going to be increasing bandwidth and also speeds, reads and write, which is going to be very useful for a lot of the big workloads that a lot of my audience have got. So I'm just go back one slide, but yeah, 24 compared to 16. So that's something that was interesting. Now, the one I'm going to go back here was the reason because of its AMD did state that it can go, which is the AM5, it can go up to 170 watts. Now, 170 watts is huge. I think at the moment we're currently running on about 105 watts they can pull, but or 125, depending on motherboard as well too. But 170, that's a huge increase for the capability. It's probably not going to use the 170, but it could pull up to 170. This is something I kind of got hinted at by AMD that as they're looking at more better cooling solutions as well too, because we're hearing higher clock speeds off a smaller die. It's going to have to produce some sort of heat there, and plus we're pushing more power as well too, so to achieve those big humongous numbers as well too. So 170, I don't know how much it's going to be, but yeah, the AM5 is probably one of the reasons why they moved to that sort of socket here. Now, of course, it's going to have Wi-Fi 6E support and as well too, and all the fancy stuff. Oh, the one thing I did notice is also the USB Type-C. It is 20 gigabits, so I think that's the same as USB 4. So it's not like Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4, which can go 40 gigabits. But then again, I think it is a needed thing sometimes for on the high-end computers where they connect massive storages and also daisy chain off like big monitors plus storage. So that could be something that will be nicer. But at the moment, yeah, we've got 20 gigabits. That's something better than nothing than anything else. So it's still an increase, but not the big increase that we saw in the mobile section, which is the mobile Ryzen 6000 series. That actually can do, I think it's about 40 gigabits on that one there, but somehow the desktop was only about 20 gigabits. But still, at least it's an increase in a way. But yeah, that's one thing I always found. Again, they're going to have some 4 different chipsets. There's the X670 Extreme, of course, has everything you can do. And then the motherboard's X670 is probably the mid-range. And then you got the B650, which is about the basic range. Well, more for the budget range anyway. So that's going to have that. Again, you'll have different capability between the more 4 of those ones there. Okay, well, they're talking about storage here. That's all. What I want to talk about is besides that is I think the other one. Oh yeah, we want to actually. They also announced. So that's the AMD 7000 Ryzen series. Now, again, we haven't got much of a date or how many cores or what specs they're going to be. They were very brief on what they brought it out, but still, that's something I'm expecting probably closer to maybe a couple months. We'll get maybe more news about those Ryzen 7000 series and also a little bit how many cores. So at the moment, we don't know. They're just giving us teasers at the moment. So still, I didn't see they actually compare. If you can see this quickly on the AMD side, and if you just do YouTube, even on AMD Computex, you'll see actually them doing a test. Now they actually did, I think it was a blended test, and I think they were comparing a Ryzen 7000. I don't know what it is because they didn't give us numbers. Just compared it with the 12th Gen 12. It was a 12900 KF or something, and it was 33% quicker. So that's a big claim, and I don't know how much we can take it as a grain of salt, but still 33% out of the current generation. That's kind of cool, because to see the next one from, which is 13th gen Intel Core, which I haven't got much information, or I don't have any information actually. I don't know if they're going to be able to catch up with AMD with this. Even 33%. There's a huge difference there. 33% as well too. But yeah, the other thing is, and I'll get to the comments. I see we've got a few comments. I'll get back to a few comments. I'm just going to quickly go back to the slide, because the other thing they actually also announced that I found very interesting as well too. And then I'll talk a little bit about the other thing I want to talk about. Yeah, here you go. They're also launching this thing called Mineral Doc.io is what we call it. Now, this is for the budget range for the laptops. So this runs off about 4 cores. Again, this is for the budget range. You can see it's the price range of those laptops that they're targeting is around the $400 to about the $700 mark. USD, we're talking about USD as well too. So it's kind of, that's what they're made. So that's kind of interesting to see, because this is another. I wouldn't mind having a look at what that chip would be, because I do know that these are going to be very power efficient for it, and that's one of the things I expect from AMD. And again, whatever cores they mount, it's going to be all performance cores. They're not going to have like Intel, where they've got the efficiency cores as well as the performance cores. AMD is going to give you all performance cores. Now, they've actually done, I know from the previous, a lot of other talks from AMD, they've been even for the Zen 3, they've been concentrating and improving the power efficiency state levels, as well as really going for the instructions to try their best to, including AI, is to actually bring down the power efficiency without having to sacrifice for performance using efficiency cores. So I think we're going to expect some really good even power efficiencies out of Ryzen 7000 series, as well as the mobile series, which is the mobile Ryzen 6000 series. So I'm expecting some really good sort of things in a way for it. Now, let me get back. So yeah, so again, we've got RDNA 2, which is going to be good. Oh, so go back to RDNA 2 on the even though it's basic graphics, RDNA 2 is pretty decent. I'm expecting they do a lot of talking about what a lot of games, if you're doing full HD games, full HD quality, even at medium high, you should be able to get around about 60 frames per second is what they expect, which is very playable on things. So normally I've seen even on the Intel 11th gen or even the Ryzen 5000 from the previous one, you probably wouldn't be getting about 60 frames per second. So this was running on the old technology. You're probably getting around about 30 to 40 frames per second. Still playable, but not as nice and smooth in a way. But the RDNA 2 is going to hit more than 60, or 60 was trying to what they're claiming out anyway. So I'm thinking that's going to be really good for, again, with the budget range. When Ryzen 7000 series, if they produce a budget range, what I'm thinking is what AMD is going to do is produce all the high-end like HPC high-end market, and then they'll market their current Ryzen 5000 series as their budget range for the time being, until later on they'll probably then maybe release some 7000 budget range series. But when they do, it'll be kind of sweet in a way. So that's my thoughts anyway for that. Now, is there anything else with that? Yeah, they talked about a lot of other things, especially with the AMD Advantage. Now, I do want to quickly cover this AMD Advantage or something. So AMD Advantage is something, if you've seen in my, I think it was about 2 years ago, I covered this about Intel Evo. Now, Intel Evo is a standard, or basically a certification on certain features it must comply or reach to then get the Intel Evo sort of stamp or sticker. So it is one of those type of laptops. So it's got a bit of certain grades. Now, AMD Advantage is the sort of same thing as well. Now, there is a few things they kind of want to try and improve on for what they have in a way. So again, this is going to be a thing. They also talk about a little of the smart access memory as well too. So it's more for loading games, but I'm not a very big expert in games, as you guys know. But supposedly they've got something that helps with better load times. That's it. So I don't know much about it. They only covered it very briefly anyway. So, but that's about it. Anyway, I'm going to remove these slides, and we'll come back to ourselves, and we'll have a look at some of the comments. Anyways, thank you very much for you guys for joining me. Anyway, let's have a look what we got. Hey, OJ, how's it going? What are you doing? It's good to see you join me. And what do we got here? I'm going to come back to the other one. What's your pick of webcams with integrated mic? You know what? I have been using Logitech a lot, which is the Logitech 9 22, or even get the 20 as well too. They probably can get some good pricing for those because it's not the newest one, and really it's only a full HD one. I'm not going for 4K, but you can go 4K unless you're a content creator. You want to go 4K, but I haven't really found a need for 4K anyway. This camera that you're on is a 4K one. I'm actually bringing it down to about 10 full HD just because I don't really need the bandwidth, because you see me sometimes have lag as well too, and I don't really want that. But I don't know what you're using it for. Are you going to be just doing for Zoom meetings or stuff like that? If not, then I think 1080p is going to be all you need. It's really about pricing. You can get some really cheap ones for around about what here. I know you're in Australia. You can get ones for like about 80 or 70, or even the Microsoft ones can do well. But it really depends on what kind of quality you want. If you're doing content creation, then you probably want something a little bit more there. The reason why I'm saying the Logitech one is because if you look at a lot of reviews, it's actually got a very flat profile, which is not as vibrant, but you can always bring it up vibrant. But it's got a flat profile, so it works very nicely in shaded and dark areas. So you can actually bring that up later on in post if you wanted to. But also the software is able to bring it up as well too. So it's not as vibrant compared to a lot of other cameras, but that particular series seems to be very nice in keeping very flat profile, so you can actually have a high dynamic range as well too. So it does do autofocus. It does do the I was using the Logitech 922, yeah, 922 before I was using this Dell anyway, and I loved it anyway. But now I've just moved to the Dell because I actually like this AI where it just follows me through anyway. I don't know if it's going to do it, but I need to get out of camera. But it's just cool anyway. So yeah, it does do autofocus, and it does do pretty good as well too. So yeah. And I'm just going to jump back to Shiva because he's got a good questions here. Okay, can you tell the difference between all ThinkPads series X1 series, X series, P series, T series, L series, E series? Yep. Okay, I can do that. I'm going to leave this on because I can. So let's start off with the lowest end. So the lowest end is the E series. E series is like entry model series. So they are the commercial still, but they also can do the consumer as well too. So you see the E series in both. Now again, this is probably cut down from the T series. Now the T series is probably your commercial level standard sort of series where you have all your standard stuff. They have a little bit better grade quality of material as well as being more robust and durable, the T series there. And so that's a lot of computers from businesses are using it. And if you're doing a small business, that's something you can look into, the T series or even the E series. I've had a few E series on the channel and I found them absolutely great for definitely pricing. You get a lot of the functionality, but again, it's maybe not have like amazing durability for a long time. I still think the new version still does, but that's the difference between the E series and T series. Now the L series is the consumer series. So you see, if you're going to buy it directly from Harvey Norman or Officeworks or your retailers, you'll see the L series a lot. So that's the consumer range that actually you'll see, and they do carry probably the more later versions of the processors, as most of the time a lot of the commercial and enterprise marketing what's this thing what is that ThinkPads are going to be sometimes lacking in terms of speed. But I think these days you'll actually find that a lot of the new processors are actually coming to the commercial range. Traditionally before, it was actually lacking by about a year or two behind with the processors, but now it seems to be you find the actual the enterprise commercial range of computers actually either coming out first or they're coming out at the same time as well. So L series, that's what the the consumer range. So again, there it's more to also to do with warranties as well too, and also the material used. So it's not going to be as durable. That's used for. So the T and E series is, especially the T series, it's designed to pretty much think of it like a loaner laptop, where like a hire car. No one really cares about it. No one's going to do it. No one's going to really care. But so they're just going to dump it. It's used, and then people. And it's pretty much designed to be a little bit more durable than others in a way. So that's that. Whereas L series isn't. It's more like a personal device. So you probably want to give good care to it. So you probably won't be fine. It is clumsy anyway. Still, I've got to say they're still very strong, but just that's the idea of it. Now again, P series. So before go, I'll do P series first. So the P series is the professional series. So that's probably where you find a lot of. It actually carries over from the T series. A lot of the T series and the P series and also the E series share very similar in chassis as well as design. Now the difference a lot of time between T for Tom and P for Peter, professional, is a lot of time it's to do with two things. Two things. One thing is the graphics is usually the quadros instead of the G forces in the P series. Some of the P series do have G forces, but has the option to go quadros. So that's the professional grade graphics, and also you will find that you also I know in the AMD version of it, you actually get the AMD Ryzen Pro compared to just the normal Ryzen. So it's actually got basically support for commercial range for the commercial uh, integrated systems and management systems like AMD Management Pro as well as the V Pro stuff as well too. But there is V Pros in T series anyway, but it's more to do with the graphics than anything else, and it's got certifications as well too. Again, it's more durable than the T series, but not, I wouldn't say that much more there, and it's all more powerful as well too. And I don't think you actually find them a little bit more. Again, chassis is very similar. I think there's a few, especially on the top end, they actually get quite thick and actually have they can cost quite a lot as well too. So that's a professional series. Now X series is the light and ultra lightweight, as I would say ultra light thin, because that's the X1 series. So the X series I will say ultra lightweight or lightweight. And again, you'll get the flips and non-flips as well too. So that's X series is the ultra lightweight version. Again, that is commercial as well too. And then you got the X1, which is their flagship of trying to bring everything together of lightweight as well as giving all as much functionality as possible. And you'll find it's you got very high durability for ultra lightweight. So and when I say ultra lightweight, it is even lighter than the X series. So that's the idea. And also they're bringing a lot of the new technologies into the X1s compared to the X series as well too. Hopefully that will answer your question on that one there. Because that's quite a bit of an explanation, and I know it gets very confusing on trying to find out the different ThinkPads as well too. So it's kind of cool. OJ, just chilling and working on a project report, but watching live. Thank you very much for joining me. I know you're probably working there, but thank you very much for that. And got any more questions? Oh yeah, we got one more questions here from. G'day. I don't know how I'm gonna pronounce this. A Rock. Spec Cops, thank you very much for joining us. First time actually seeing your name, but it's been fantastic. Hi, Shimvir, I can't really pronounce. Is the 6600M in the MSI Alpha worth? I don't know. I haven't actually even played with the Ryzen 6000 series yet because I'm hoping I'm getting the right thing. That you're talking about this the Ryzen 6000 series mobile series. I don't know. That's something new to me. I'm still waiting for the new Ryzen mobile 6000 series laptop to arrive. Again, this is a lot to do with shipping. Usually, I've been asking vendors, but just haven't got anything yet. So I can't tell you at the moment on that. I'm sorry to say, so I couldn't give you advice on that one there. But yes, all right. I think I've got through all. Yeah, I've got through all the things. So, but yeah, very exciting news about the just even it's an announcement because that gives us a bit of an idea of a timeline because it's still far away with the AMD Ryzen 7000 series, but at least we're getting a little bit. It was rumored. Now we'll get something to know confirmation on it, and it was kind of what I was expecting that it's going to be Ryzen 4 and mostly DDR5. But I think it was kind of cool to see the integrated graphics now added in, and I'm excited to actually see how fast it's going. And I was actually blown by how like they did say 5.5 gigahertz, and I was like, whoa, okay. You traditionally it's Intel domain of getting single core or even just the higher clock speeds compared to AMD. That's usually I think there's a lot of people for gaming who love to do that anyway, but still awesome. I've seen some professional applications that do prefer to having high clock speeds. Of course, high clock speeds fast workloads. But yeah, still, it's nice to see what the AMD is producing out for that. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a great time, and I've loved hearing you guys and being inside this live chat. I'll try and do that more often. I was just busy doing other stuff for when I'm at anyway. But yes, thank you very much for joining me. If you're having a good day and as well, or having a good night. And as always, imperfections in life makes it beautiful and interesting. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.